These are the 100 reasons why WWE sucks today. So buckle up, like the video, and subscribe to the channel with the bell notification turned on, and let's start off with reason number 1, repetitive storylines. I am fairly certain that whenever you watch Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live, or you tune into whatever PLE it might be, you are not only getting treated with the same storylines that just keep happening over and over again. For example, when Monday Night Raw ends, it is usually the Vision attacking the Usos or LA Knight, and on SmackDown, it's the MFTs attacking Jacob Fatu and whoever else it might be. Number 2, it comes down to long-term storytelling truly being lackluster in today's product. The stories that we all like to see are the ones that have a long-term payoff, not the ones that we've been getting for years and years on end. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, just to name a few, and these have always been the same storylines over and over again, and there is no new long-term bookings. Reason number 3, CM Punk's push came too late. How do you have the biggest act in wrestling, the biggest return in the last decade, essentially go unnoticed in the main event picture up until the point when Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes started to actually stagnate, and the title went from Rollins to Gunther to Jey Uso to back to Gunther, that the WWE realized, oh yeah, maybe this title needs some elevation, so let's put it on CM Punk for 1 second. Come on, how does that make any sense? CM Punk should have been right away in the main event picture, just like where he left off, and might have even needed to win the Royal Rumble. But that is a video for a different day. Number 4, weak payoffs. Why tune into WWE product when whenever something hyped up gets finally a big payoff, it is just simply lackluster? The biggest example of this is simply the John Cena heel turn in the year of 2025. It was a big moment. He finally turns heel. But then, when it is time to actually explain why he turned heel, the guy just simply says, this is just a dysfunctional relationship. Come on, it doesn't make sense. Where was The Rock? Reason number 5, scripted promos, okay? And this causes a lot of botches. Let's look at LA Knight, for example. Sometimes he stumbles over his words, but I've noticed the fact that when he does stumble over his words, it's whenever the script writers have kind of like written in a big punchline that he has to remember. Reason number 6, it is the overuse of authority figures, okay? Today we don't have Vince McMahon, we don't have the authority, we don't have the typical like Mr. McMahon being the bad guy. But what we do have is these general managers every single week on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live just coming out and just giving the heels a hard time, saying, oh yeah, guess what, player? You're gonna go one-on-one with The Undertaker, player. So, you know, for example, just like that, right? Every single week, you tune into Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, you don't know what's gonna happen, and you can best believe Nick Aldis or the other GM is gonna come out and say, yeah, this guy is gonna wrestle that guy tonight. It's really overused and I'm tired of it. Reason number 7, it is ignoring fan reactions. Look, how many times does the WWE keep saying that we listen to the people, we listen to the fans, to then just completely ignore what the fans want? This year was the year of Karrion Kross finally getting to the main card, finally getting to PLEs, but seemingly getting buried on those shows. And the fans are eager to say, push Kross, push Kross. And the only thing that the WWE has done is push him out of the WWE. Guess what? You want Brock? You got him. Reason number 8, inconsistent character development. I mean, the biggest one of the year. Not only is John Cena being a heel, no, I think the biggest shock for me was him suddenly turning babyface one day out of SummerSlam without any explanation. Why did he do it for The Rock? Why did he really turn heel? What was actually the reason behind him doing what he did? We just didn't know. He just comes out and says, guess what, you guys, it didn't work out, and I'm sorry, and let's just go on and be babyface again. It doesn't really work. It makes WWE look fake. Reason number 9, forced comedy segments. Look, I love a good comedy segment. When WWE does it right, it is really funny. However, they try to do it really too often, okay? And that is at the detriment of a lot of talent. Guys like Chad Gable, guys like Ludwig Kaiser, who have potential of their own, are simply relegated to being El Grande Americano and being a meme and a joke. That is not acceptable and really ruins the fun. Reason number 10, the lack of realism. As I said earlier, When you don't have a proper payoff or an explanation to why certain characters just develop in the way that they do, it makes WWE feel fake. It's almost like The Big Show turning heel and babyface on a flip of a dime. It doesn't make sense. Reason number 11, my personal favorite reason why WWE sucks. It is unresolved storylines, okay? Whether it is The Rock handing something over to Cody Rhodes after WrestleMania and saying that their story has just begun, for him to then disappear, for him to come back and have Johnson to turn heel and then disappear again. Or for example, recently Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa having a feud, and then suddenly both are written off TV, and then Jacob Fatu comes out and has a feud with Drew McIntyre for no apparent reason. Reason number 12, predictable outcomes. Too often, I tune into weekly shows or PLEs and I can immediately see what will happen. Oh yeah, Jey Uso is going to wrestle for the title. Guess what? Just because it is on Monday Night Raw, the Vision is going to come out and attack him because God forbid we have a proper finish to any match. Reason number 13, there is too much focus on the drama, okay? And that focus overshadows the in-ring action, but more specifically, the in-ring storylines that you can tell. For example, there should be no reason why we have to have females come out on every single SmackDown Live and cut promos about the same stuff over and over again, and just to promote the same match over and over again. How many times can we have Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill cut a promo, or Nia Jax versus Tiffany Stratton cut a promo? Instead, we could just have them get in the ring and just tell the story in the ring. The lack of continuity, okay, this is the biggest one. Because when you have fans that tune into Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live, you want them to be treated properly. Instead, a lot of the times, right, on week-to-week programming, suddenly CM Punk is not there, suddenly Cody Rhodes is not there, suddenly Roman Reigns gets written off TV, and we just have to just fill up these random slots with random matches. And why do that if you have something developing and then suddenly take it away? It ruins the momentum of any storyline. It sucks. Reason number 15, overbooked segments. I mean, you just have to look at the last 5 months of Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live. Just look at the main events. Rarely will it be a one-on-one match. It is always this faction running in, that faction running in, this heel costing that guy, this, that. It is always somebody running in and ruining the show. I get it. A dirty finish leads into the next week. It's kind of like a cliffhanger, but I'm sick of it. Now let's focus on the wrestling quality, okay? Today, jumping into reason number 16, dude, the matches on TV, on week-to-week television are just way too short, okay? Matches are often under 5 minutes. And the problem is, usually on PLEs, you have less matches than Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and it should be the opposite way. On the premium live events, how can you really only have 5 matches? That is criminal. You gotta have more matches than that. It is just actually just mind-boggling, okay? How do you have a PLE for WrestlePalooza, Clash at Paris, and you only have 5 matches scheduled? That needs to end. And on week-to-week television, matches actually need to tell a story that can lead into the next week. Sheamus versus Rusev, I really like that feud. Reason number 17, too many disqualifications, okay? That is just simply a lazy way to avoid clean finishes. Because why? The WWE creative is so mentally slaughtered that they cannot come up with a proper way to tie the knot. Reason number 18, limited movesets. Wrestlers often repeat the same moves over and over again, and not to mention moves from other wrestlers. How many stunners, how many swanton bombs can we just watch on week-to-week television before it gets completely boring? Reason number 19, the no blood policy. Look, this removes all of the intensity from the brutality that wrestling should be. Wrestling today is too polished, okay? There's just too much makeup. There's just too much glitter, too much glamour. It is time for it to feel gritty again, because right now, in addition to all of the acrobatic stuff, wrestling feels more fake than ever before. Reason number 20, overproduced matches, okay? This is what I would like to call the spot monkeys, the flip junkies, whatever you want to call it. It gets annoying. Every single match today seemingly has to have a dive to the outside, a frog splash, a dive through the middle ropes every single time. And there has to be a superplex spot as well. it gets boring, it gets repetitive, and every single match just seemingly has to be competitive. How about a proper squash match where somebody looks properly strong? Enough of the 50-50 booking. Reason number 21, there are too many distractions or interferences, okay? Add on top of the fact that we have a lot of disqualifications, the interferences or the distractions are what really does it, okay? How many times does a heel run in and they distract the referee and the heel is getting pinned? 1, 2, 3. Oh no, the referee wasn't watching. And then the babyface is going to talk to the referee. He turns around, boom, kick to the head, 1, 2, 3, and then he loses. Come on. How many times can we keep having that? It is enough. Reason number 22, there are no clear rankings, okay? Most wins and losses don't seem to really matter. What really matters is, okay, have we done this feud in the last 3 years? Yes or no? Okay, if we have done that, we'll move on and not do that. That is seemingly the only prerequisite to make matches these days. Do you have a big name? Yes or no? Have you wrestled before? Yes or no? That's it. Reason number 23, the lack of match varieties. Look, what has happened to the steel cage? What has happened to the Hell in a Cell? What has happened to random TLC matches, random table matches, random ladder matches? These never seem to happen anymore, and that takes away from the product. Not only do all these wrestlers wrestle the same, not only do they have 50-50 booking, the match types don't add to the rotation. Reason number 24, the pay-per-view matches feel like TV matches, okay? There is no real escalation, let alone a proper end to any feud, okay? For example, this year, we had the pay-per-view for Clash at Paris, and that genuinely felt like a random TV on Raw, because why do you have a fatal 4-way announced and booked, and then suddenly going into that matchup in a backstage promo segment, Jey Uso gets attacked and he's compromised? Come on, people pay money to see this and not to see somebody all of a sudden get injured or like get diminished in any type of way. If that is a PLE, nothing should hurt any of the competitors and we should get what we pay for. Reason number 25, wrestlers are not protected enough, okay? Unless your name is Cody Rhodes, all of the big stars just lose too easily, okay? How do you have somebody like John Cena, who was a champion this year, go toe-to-toe with Logan Paul? It doesn't make any sense in terms of power scaling. Or how about Randy Orton seemingly not being able to win any match? Or how about Drew McIntyre just continuously losing? It doesn't add to any of these people's star power. Reason number 26, there are too many commercials. I mean, have you tried watching Saturday night's main event? I mean, in one match, you will have 4 to 5 ad breaks. Come on, that is just criminal. Reason number 27, the unnecessary amount of camera cuts, okay? This is disorienting because in the match, okay, you want to follow along with the movements and then suddenly you're watching it from a different camera angle. Why? It doesn't add to the cohesion of the story that the wrestlers are trying to tell. Reason number 28, the lack of tag team focus. The tag team divisions are just simply forgotten, okay? Not only are these championships not being defended enough, the tag team division itself doesn't have enough competitors, okay? This year alone, the tag titles for both SmackDown and Raw must have only gotten defended 2 or 3 times. That is criminal. Reason number 29, there is no time for build-ups. Matches simply feel rushed, okay? For example, we knew that Roman Reigns was going to be wrestling at Clash at Paris, but we didn't know who against. And then suddenly, he's wrestling against Big Back Bronson Reed over some shoes. Does that make any sense? Or how about John Cena versus Brock Lesnar just seemingly happening for no reason? Doesn't make sense. Reason number 30, inconsistent match rules. For far too many times have there been tag matches that suddenly, gets convoluted, right? You don't know who's legal anymore. People tag in, people tag out. The referee stops counting the count out when they're outside of the ring. It just all seems too fake when it matters the most. The rules should be the only thing that feel consistent, yet they just seemingly get trampled all over. Now let's move over to the roster management, okay? Reason number 31, talent misuse. Great wrestlers are just seemingly stuck in meaningless feuds. Legends like Randy Orton, John Cena, CM Punk, these guys should be getting proper pushes and proper storylines, but instead, they are just floating in limbo, just waiting and doing meaningless matches just to sell a PLE. It doesn't work like this. Reason number 32. There are too many releases, okay? The frequent firings just hurt the morale and the continuity of whatever is going on in the WWE, okay? For example, Karrion Kross, he got cut from the WWE and he had a feud with Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn suddenly shifts his focus and he goes to SmackDown Live and he becomes the United States Champion. I mean, why? It doesn't really add anything to him. Reason number 33. There is an overcrowded roster. Despite the roster being stacked and being filled with talent, there just seems to be not enough airtime for everybody to get a proper shine. This is also mainly because they don't know how to use the talent, but because there's also a lot of the talent, they are just stuck in paralysis by analysis. Reason number 34. Part-timers get priority. Usually, I wouldn't find this an issue unless it's been going like the way it's been going this year. Look, when Roman Reigns gets written off TV and he's gone 3 times, 4 times a year, and then he comes back and he's just right away back into the main event picture when Jey Uso or whoever else had been carrying that storyline, suddenly needs to take a step back and let Roman Reigns get back into it. Or how about Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble and losing his main event slot? Come on, that is just unjustifiable. Reason number 35. There are no clear mid-card titles anymore, okay? Yes, we have the IC titles. Yes, we have the United States titles. But even for the women, there is just too many titles that just don't feel anything anymore, okay? It has no more meaning because there's just too many of them. So, my suggestion, let's get rid of the female minor titles and let's just only have one male minor title. Let's only have the United States or the IC title and let that be something worth winning. Reason number 36. There are too many call-ups from NXT. And the NXT stars really should be coming into the main roster with a proper plan. When Kevin Owens went from NXT to the main roster, he defeated John Cena. But today, when these guys get called up, they just, end up jobbing. It is really, really sad. And most of these guys were NXT champions. Come on. Reason number 36. There is a lack of diversity in these pushes. For the last 4 years, it has been Cody Rhodes main eventing WrestleMania 39, 40, 41, and we're going to go into WrestleMania 42, and Cody Rhodes will still main event. On the flip side, for the B titles, it has been Seth Rollins over and over again, hugging that World Heavyweight Championship. Reason number 38, there is just seemingly a mismanagement when it comes down to injuries, okay? Usually, when these guys get injured, it just feels like they just get rushed back to return, or their injuries are simply ignored, thus resulting for them to get away again, okay? We are already dealing with too many kayfabe scenarios when these wrestlers get written off TV. We cannot afford to have actual injuries keeping them away from wrestling. Reason number 39. There is not an actual investment in the tag divisions. I've already said it, but look, if you have the Fridge Raiders teaming up with Penta, then you have a big issue, okay? Why not have a proper investment in this division? We could make great use of Penta and Rey Fenix. They could be a great addition to the tag division, but no, instead, it is just all a bunch of random matches or a bunch of repeat matches. I'm sick and tired of it, okay? Reason number 40. Too many gimmick changes. I mean, if John Cena turns heel and then the next day he turns back babyface, that's bad as it is. But then you have wrestlers like Bayley who suddenly become schizophrenic and split personality. Come on, you guys. Make it at least feel consistent. Make it so that when they do turn a heel, that it is actually with an actual meaning, okay? Or when they turn babyface. Don't have him turn babyface just for them to have a different look. It doesn't work like that. Make it feel believable. Reason number 41. Wasted potential. Talented wrestlers never seem to actually get a chance, and I understand it. The WWE has a certain level, a certain criteria that you have to live up to. You gotta be a certain height. You have to have a certain amount of muscle mass and very little body fat. And they simply over-rely on the already established names. They don't seem to really invest into new talent. Reason number 42. There is not a real competitor for the WWE. Yes, there is AEW and the Indies, but look, without WCW, the WWE has no real big incentive to really push the needle forward and become better than what they are. Reason number 43. There is just a heavy emphasis on the way wrestlers look, more in particular the female wrestlers. They all seem to be glammed up and nobody really has an authentic appeal to them that actually transcends the looks department. We have to care about the wrestling, but there's just too many booty straps, too many cleavage bras, too many G-string trunks, and too many glammed up wrestlers that all try to look like they can be on a magazine. Enough of it. Reason number 44. Unfair pushes, okay? Some wrestlers get pushed despite poor crowd reactions. I mean, honestly, look at Sami Zayn. Unless he's wrestling in front of Saudi Arabia, the guy doesn't really need to have this many victories. How is he, for example, considered the underdog, or he always had this underdog gimmick, yet he was winning every single match that he was in, and he's already become the United States champion? How does that make sense? Where are other talents getting pushed to that level? There is none. Reason number 45. There is not a real developmental system. Yes, there is NXT, but as far as I'm concerned, it really has paid off more for the women than it has for the men. And that, once again, is just a reflection of the current state of the product, okay? They care more about looks. They care more about the way that the female division can get eyeballs on Instagram Reels or TikToks or YouTube Shorts than the actual male competitors, okay? And on a side note, usually most of the wrestlers in NXT get cut from NXT and they go back to the indies. Rarely will you have actually somebody from NXT get pushed up and actually be a big time competitor in the main roster. It really doesn't happen anymore. Now let's move over to the business decisions that really ruined the WWE. Reason number 46. Frequent budget cuts, okay? They always talk about these big deals. $5 billion Netflix deal, $1.6 billion ESPN deal, Peacock deal, this deal, that deal, Prime deal. But despite all of these record profits, they just keep on making budget cuts. They keep on cutting wrestlers. They keep on adding advertisements all over the ring. Yet the wrestlers are the ones still suffering from it. The wrestlers are still the ones having to pay for their own travel expenses. This is criminal. Reason number 47. The Saudi Arabia deals are getting more and more intrusive, okay? Why do we have WrestleMania suddenly get sold out to the Arabian crowd? I don't have a personal problem with it, but I already understand that when they go over there, not only will the crowds be a lot milder, the arenas will be uglier, and the shows have to have this, big house show element to it that will ruin the continuity and the canonness of all of these WrestleManias, for example. And if this is the start, the future will be the continuation, and it will only get worse from here. Reason number 48. There are too many pay-per-views, okay? And this oversaturates these big PLEs, the big events, okay? Yes, we have the big four, but in a calendar year, these guys want to have a PLE every single month. And this ruins the quality of it. I mean, we go from Clash at Paris to WrestlePalooza, and none of these PLEs actually had anything worth watching. No storylines actually continued, started, or ended there. It is just the same stalling shows that happens over and over again. Reason number 49. Overpriced merchandise. Dude, the prices on some of these merchandises are actually insane, okay? There is no point in trying to get a John Cena shirt anymore, because not only will they be overpriced, but just forget about the belts. They are just in a different stratosphere, okay? A t-shirt is already bad enough, but to look at the prices on some of these belts is criminal, outright. Reason number 50. Forget about the merch. How about the ticket prices? You try to sit ringside at WrestleMania, $32,000. This has priced out the majority of the fans of WWE, and it's simply pandering to those with deep pockets. I guess there is a market for it, and that is why they're charging that much for it as well. Reason number 51. Too much focus on sponsorships. Look, I get it. When you have intermission or you want to cut to commercials, that is one thing. But to see the ring filled with ads and sponsorships, and the LED Titantrons filled with ads and sponsorships, or when the tables have Slim Jim on it, or when at the Money in the Bank, not only is the Money in the Bank sponsored by Cash App, but even the ladder has a bunch of advertisements on it. This is just enough. Reason number 52. Because TKO and the WWE is just a publicly traded company, there is stockholder pressure, okay? Business has to be over storytelling. And to a certain extent, I can truly see why this impacted the WWE. But on another note, there should not be a reason why on week-to-week television the storyline should be this bad. Reason number 53. There is a lack of transparency. Are you enjoying the show? It's all part of the show, man. R-Truth is back in the WWE. It's all part of the show, man. Are you enjoying the show? This is what happens, right? When the fans have to start to create narratives to make it seem like they know what's going on. But the WWE is notorious in keeping the fans in the dark. And if this is the age of kayfabe being dead, and if this is the age of press conferences, can we have a little bit more transparency, please? Reason number 54. There is an over-reliance on nostalgia. Look, the entire year of John Cena was based on nostalgia. John Cena wrestling Orton, Cena wrestling Punk, Cena wrestling Cody, Cena wrestling Brock, Cena wrestling AJ Styles. These are all just over-reliances on nostalgia, okay? And it really only holds back the future of the business. It is good in isolation, it is good in a vacuum, but come on, you guys. We have to have new stars, and they seemingly are nowhere to be seen. Reason number 55, they are ignoring the independent scene, okay? These guys are dead set in signing only NXT talent, okay? They want to have people come in and be part of the WWE machine. You gotta go and become like, LFG, then NXT, then main roster, and only then can you get to the top of the business. But when is the last time the WWE actually signed somebody big from the outside of the company and they brought him in and they were big in the WWE main roster as well? It doesn't really happen that much, and that is a big shame because there is a lot of talent out there waiting to get in. Reason number 56, there is a big disregard for fan feedback. As much as Triple H likes to talk about the fans being in charge, or even recently when John Cena came out with the tweet about AJ Styles and wrestling against him, he tagged in Triple H saying that we always listen to the crowd, we always listen to the people. But at the same token, there have been months, years on end, where these guys completely ignore any interaction with the fans. Speaking of interaction, reason number 57, there is no fan interactions anymore, okay? Unless you're yeeting, unless you're saying like LA Knight, yeah, that's about it. Or when you like want to become a gimmick, right? Nowadays, when you go to a crowd, when you go to a show, the crowd wants to be a part of the show that badly that they will go out there and sing every single lyric to all of these wrestlers' intros, okay? That is the only way that they can feel seen, feel heard, and that is not the right way to go about it, okay? I miss the days when in the ring, in the wrestling matches, you had fan interactions, even if they were plants or props. We need to get back to a lot more fan engagement. Reason number 58, the amount of fake crowd noises, okay? All the time you can hear these fake chants, and on the opposite side, they always end up muting sounds that they don't want. Like when they say, shut the F up on Netflix, for example, they just mute, and mute. Come on, you guys. Come on, right? This should be the new age. Let them just get their words out. I'm just sick and tired of all the censoring, to be honest. Speaking of censoring, reason number 59, banned signs, okay? This also limits the amount of like fan signs that you can see in the crowd. The fan signs are what really makes the wrestling shows feel like wrestling shows. So when you take them away, you take a part of expression away, okay? Reason number 60, over-moderated social media. Every single WWE superstar has to have WWE in their handle or like in their tag or whatever it might be. And it genuinely feels like whenever they're tweeting, it just feels like HR's like tweeting, you know what I mean? And like it's always like hashtag this, hashtag that. Come on, nothing feels authentic anymore. Like real people, normal people, they don't tweet like the way that WWE wrestlers tweet, okay? On another note, reason number 61, there are no real surprises left, okay? We are in the age of the internet. We are in the age of dirt sheets. Dude, spoilers and leaks ruin moments, and no matter how much you try and avoid it, come on, like, what can you do about it? Not go on the internet? Not turn on the TV? It doesn't work like that, okay? So it's on the WWE to make these surprises stay hidden. Reason number 62, ignoring international fans. Okay, dude, it is great that they're taping SmackDown. It is great that they're taping Raw in like different countries now. But when it comes down to PLEs and like actual proper shows, they are still being treated like house shows. Okay, we need to have proper PLEs, stories, but instead we just get glorified house shows again. That really sucks. Reason number 63, there is no fan voting. Okay, in no capacity can the fans go back, like, back in the day you had WWE.com and the fans could vote for certain plot lines, certain things to happen. Nowadays, you don't have that at all, okay? Bring back fan voting. Even if it is for something fabricated just to have fan voting, it would be better off than something without it, okay? Reason number 64, there is a lack of community building. Like I said, there is no fan page where fans can vote on a WWE website anymore. They are not doing polls. They're not doing actual like fan engagement stuff. Okay. There is no place for a forum or a club, or like there should be a type of AMA system where WWE wrestlers can directly reply to WWE fans leaving questions, comments, or something to get a response from the superstars. Yes, I know everybody has their own social media, but that should be kind of like forgotten about, and we got to focus on a central system for that type of engagement. Okay, that would be great. Reason number 65, there is just too much focus on casuals. Okay, on a yearly basis, when you have the 4 big PLEs, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, genuinely speaking, if all you did was watch those 4 PLEs, you would be caught up with everything. But what about the other 8 PLEs? Well, those are the PLEs that we as the hardcore viewers get punished for, because not only do a lot of these things not even happen on the minor PLEs, we just simply are wasting our time tuning in. That's just a fact of it. Now let's talk about the production style, okay? Reason number 66, too many camera cuts, okay? When you see those like big circular Cosm theaters where there is like a camera hidden in the turnbuckle, and you see those theaters and those projectors, and they only have like this one big camera angle that is just right there in the middle of the ring, that feels authentic. That feels like you could actually follow along with the show. And I get it, you want to have some close-ups here and there to get the emotion, but other than that, I don't want to see a lot of cuts. I want to follow the match punch by punch, kick by kick. So let's just dial it back a little bit. Reason number 67, overproduced promos. This just seemingly screams the biggest problem with the WWE today. Somebody that is a great talker like CM Punk or LA Knight or John Cena or Cody Rhodes, it just feels like they are just reading off of a script too often, okay? Sometimes you gotta let these guys come out and just speak from the heart and try to create their own narratives, because they know their characters better than anybody. Reason number 68, there is just too many lights, okay? All these LEDs, all the crowd lights. Look, back in the day, okay, when they used to dim the lights that were facing the crowds, you only had one big spotlight shining onto the ring, and that added to the sacredness of the ring. Today, not only is the ring populated within the ring itself with the mats, with all the ads, just all the lights around it is filled with ads as well. Come on, this takes away from the uniqueness, okay? Reason number 69, generic music. Okay, guys, this is just something that has been happening for the last 5 to 10 years, okay? The music just seemingly sucks, okay? There is not a single guy that comes out today that has had their music, redone or like, shot in the last 5 to 10 years that is actually iconic, okay? It just happened overnight, seemingly. We went from everybody having dope music to now everybody having trash music. Come on. Reason number 70, one of my biggest pet peeves, no unique set designs. All shows look the same because they are literally the same. It is the same set. It is the same big LED screens over and over again. This ruins any feeling of a proper PLE. Okay. Reason number 71. Sometimes, okay, there is just not enough pyro. We want pyro back, okay? And sometimes they overuse it for some wrestlers like Cody Rhodes or Gunther, and other times they just simply don't have it at all. So either have it be consistently a little, or have it consistently be a lot, or simply just don't have them at all, okay? I am sick and tired of like expecting pyro and pyro is not there. Reason number 72. This might be a hot take, but the commentary team is just too loud. Sometimes I just want to feel and hear the crowd, okay? When it's like overly yapping, it kind of ruins the immersion for me. Yes, usually they are good, but not for every single match, okay? Sometimes you want to have a little commentary. Reason number 73. Inconsistent brand loyalty. Wrestlers that happen to be on SmackDown just go on Raw and vice versa. And this just ruins everything, okay? I want to have these wrestlers come out and be loyal to their brand and only focus on SmackDown or Raw. When they deviate and go back and forth, it just ruins your show and it ruins the continuity in both shows. Reason number 74. Too much recap. You tune into Monday Night Raw and it's only about this happened last week. You tune into SmackDown Live. Oh yeah, guess what? This happened last week. I mean, come on you guys. We don't really need to keep on talking about what happened last week when we can just go on and right away focus on what's going on today. And to add insult to injury, then the promo packages, are, finally wrapping up. The guys get in the ring, they get on the microphone, and then they talk about what happened last week as well. Come on, you guys. Enough of this. Reason number 75. This kind of aligns with the whole issue with too many lights, too many screens, but it also screams too much distractions, okay? You have all of these Titantrons and graphics that are sitting around the ring. I mean, usually I'm not against it, but I feel like when a match starts, we gotta dim them down a little bit, okay? It kind of makes the wrestling feel too plasticky and too, overproduced. I want it to be a little bit gritty and a little bit real. Speaking of real, let's focus now on reason number 76. Lack of edginess. This was literally what made us love wrestling. The spots where they're jumping off the rafters, going through 4 tables, or, breaking multiple tables, jumping off the Hell in a Cell. They are taking risks that today wrestlers seemingly don't take. I mean, even when you look at the Elimination Chamber, back in the day, it actually felt like a sadistic chamber. Today you have mats, it's smaller, it's cuter, it's got all the lights and bells and whistles. That really takes away from what makes wrestling feel dangerous. Wrestling should feel dangerous. But right now we are in this PG era and everything feels too safe. Now, additionally, at number 77, there are no iconic stars anymore. John Cena, when he retires, that'll be the last big star. Roman Reigns, when he retires, that'll be the last big star. Randy Orton, when he retires, that'll be it. There doesn't seem to be a new era of actual big iconic stars like Austin and Rock, let alone a Hulk Hogan, let alone a John Cena. So right now, add on top of the fact that wrestling is too safe and too overproduced, the wrestlers themselves feel too produced and too protected and too safe. Okay? Reason number 78. Weaker promos. I've said it before, but all this pampering and over-filtering ruins the element of surprise in any promo. Usually they come into the ring, like I said, this happened last week. I'm gonna do this to you. I'm the best and I respect you. I love you. It's always the same crap, okay? How about somebody in the WWE, I don't know, maybe cheats on their wives or something, and we turn that into an actual plotline like they did with Lita and Edge and Matt Hardy. We don't have that anymore. This ties into reason 79. Less spontaneity. Everything feels scripted, okay? There is not something that happens in the world of wrestling that it feels like, oh my god, we gotta capitalize on it right away. When WrestleMania 40 happened with The Rock and Finish the Story, that felt like the perfect time to strike the iron while it was hot. But today, they feel like, to me at least, the only time that they strike the iron is when they're looking at everything burned down and they're just way too late to strike the iron. You know what I mean? By the time they go ahead and do something, it's already cooled off. Why? People are watching wrestling, and the WWE is $1 billion industry, and I don't really understand how they are not in tune with the community. The biggest example could be, for example, R-Truth when he got fired. Bring back Truth, bring back Truth. And then they finally bring him back. And then when he is back, he's just gone again. Nobody really pays attention anymore. Reason number 80, no real competition. Look, we know that the WCW shows are well in the past. We know that when it comes to TNA and its glory days, that's well in the past. But there is something to be said about the WWE monopolizing wrestling and also pawning all the major stars that seemingly just cannot get enough screen time on their own. Alright? Knowing that we only have 2 hours or 3 hours on Raw and SmackDown respectively, and we have all this talent, will only scream one thing: a lack of use of those talents. So when you don't have competition where all of these wrestlers can shine equally on the same scale, that is where you lose a lot of talent. And when you have a lot of talent getting buried, not because they are getting overused or, used in a bad way, but because they don't get used at all, that is the actual biggest shame that any wrestling promotion can ever have. Reason number 81, fewer memorable moments. Look, this ties in with competition. A lot of iconic wrestling moments happen in WCW. A lot of wrestling moments happen in TNA, NWA. It goes beyond wrestling in general, okay? These big moments end up on the big screen sometimes. But nowadays, what really ends up on the big screen, and I mean like the mainstream, okay? What really has penetrated the mainstream ever since The Rock and John Cena? I mean, we haven't really had anything mainstream in the WWE in the last 5 to 10 years. Yes, we had great storylines with Finish Your Story and the Bloodline was pretty cool, but nothing has transcended the sport like it used to. And you would have to believe that nowadays it should be a little bit easier with all of this, social media and, easier access to media. You don't really have to sit there in front of your TV to get like that message across. But it just feels to me like more and more wrestling has been stuck in its own bubble, and nothing because of that stands out on its own. Reason number 82, there is less fan investment. Fans are less emotionally involved than ever before. Aside from, going to your shows and yeeting and saying LA Knight, yeah, or singing along with a few like songs that the wrestlers walk out to, usually the fans of the past have been more hardcore than the fans of today. Not only are the fans of today more like smart and they all know it better and they're all just a bunch of marks that want to come across that they know it all, that takes away from them being excited, them being just all up in the wrestlers and their promos. Nowadays, all they really want to do is know what happened actually backstage, and they want to have all the dirt sheets, and they don't really care about the wrestling and what really is being told in the ring. They want to know what happens when Triple H and Vince Russo are meeting up backstage. Come on, you guys. That ruins everything, okay? Wrestling should be fun. It should be treated like something fun, not something like you gotta know the secrets to, okay? It's like magicians that like obviously have a certain audience and everybody's like, following along with the magician. But then you have a few fans that want to know the tricks, okay? Just let yourself be amazed, okay? Stop trying to figure out the tricks. It ruins everything. Reason number 83. There are no real factions anymore. Man, come on. We had the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys. We had Edge and Christian. People that actually felt like they elevated the tag divisions or like whatever division it might have been. But today, we don't have that. Like I said, you have random people being thrown into a tag team like Alexa Bliss or Charlotte Flair or Penta and the Fridge Raiders. Come on, it doesn't make any sense for these guys to be a faction. We need not only proper organic tag teams, but we need wrestlers to be organic single stars, okay? Not people who have been failed single stars turn into tag divisions or tag people that turn into single stars. We don't need that anymore. We need people that want to serve a certain purpose and they serve that purpose correctly. Reason number 84, there is seemingly less star power than ever before. Let's look at the main roster today and whoever is main eventing, okay? The top big names of today are John Cena, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns. Look, 5 of those 7 guys have been already wrestling since 2005. From 20 years ago, they have been wrestling. So today we are still relying on guys from the early 2000s. And that is actually criminal. Where are the new people that we can look to and say, yo man, you are the next star. You can main event WrestleMania back to back to back. It doesn't really seem that the WWE is all too interested in creating new stars that can carry the company into the next future. This ties in with reason number 85. They have become too corporate. The WWE has always been more about the brand being bigger than the wrestlers. Aside from Hulk Hogan or The Rock or Stone Cold, we haven't really had a wrestler to transcend the WWE. And that is for a good reason. The WWE has really made it a point for the company, for the promotion to be bigger than the competitors, okay? And because of this, they've kind of lost this competitive spirit, this rebellious spirit to go up against WCW and prove that they're better. And, because now they're, holding a monopoly, they've lost that, fighting spirit that has provided so much great content for us to enjoy. Today, they seemingly are going through the motions and they are going through whatever else they can sell off the library or, rights or deals or TV broadcasting networks. Whatever it might be, it just feels too clean, too corporate, and it doesn't feel like the wrestling of the old days. Reason number 86, overexposure, okay? Overexposure is literally what has gotten the WWE in the shithole that it is in today. More TV time, more wrestling would lead you to believe that we were going to get more storylines, more matches, and more character developments, but instead, all that we've gotten is the same, routine spammed over and over again. How many times can we have the Judgment Day? How many times can we have the Kabuki Warriors? How many times can we have the same matches over and over again while we're wasting airtime? Okay? How many times can we look at wrestlers like Omos or wrestlers that haven't even wrestled in almost over a year on the main roster, yet we always have the same rotation of the same people in the same storylines? How many times do we need Solo Sikoa to come out and bring in some other Samoan wrestlers to back him up? How many times do we have to keep on repeating the same thing over and over again to the point where not only us as the hardcore viewers are tired of it, but they also shoot themselves in the foot because they can't build up a great PLE because of it. Like I said, they only have about 5 matches in them usually, and that is criminal. All this talent, all this airtime, Netflix, ESPN, and you can't create something new. That is something that the WWE has to look in the mirror for and figure out themselves pretty quickly. Reason number 87, bland commentary teams. I miss the days of heel Michael Cole. I miss the days of JR. I miss the days of Jerry Lawler being just a top tier gooner. Today, it just feels like two corporate, people sitting behind a desk. And right now, I can't say that I've heard any single line on commentary that has stuck with me. I can give you guys a bunch of JR lines, Michael Cole lines, or Jerry Lawler lines that really stuck with me since my childhood. But today, as much as I love Joe Tessitore, it doesn't seem the same anymore. And we really need to revamp at least colorfulness when it comes down to commentary. They seem to be too corporate and too polished. Let's bring back some grittiness. We need some of the commentators to cuss out the wrestlers, okay? We don't need Pat McAfee. We need actual wrestling commentators. And this bleeds back into the talent pool, okay? If the commentary team is over-sanitized and overproduced, the wrestling is overproduced and over-sanitized. The wrestlers are barely saying any cuss words even though they're on Netflix, and I get it. Because of sponsorship reasons, they want to be clean. But come on, how about some blood? How about some grittiness? How about some actual real-life beef being displayed on TV? They really want to make us believe that Seth Rollins and CM Punk actually hate one another. That is the biggest piece of horse crap that I've ever heard in my life, because those guys don't really hate one another, okay? We need actual people that hate one another. We need Bill Goldberg and Matt Riddle to feud, not these fake beefs that spawn out of nowhere, and they really hope on the fact that we are dumb enough to believe it. So we need to go back to wrestling feeling crazy and unpredictable and dangerous. All this over sanitized stuff is ruining the soul of the company. Reason number 89, overly long shows. Usually these shows run about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, nearing 3 hours on a, Monday night or a Friday night. And honestly speaking, if it is 3 hours long, I really can't stand the fact that we have multiple segments or people from a segment repeating 5 to 6 times a night, okay? We don't really need to see the Judgment Day 4 to 5 times a night. We don't need to see them come out once a day and then have a wrestling match and then have a post show and then have an interview. It's enough, okay? We need that time slot to be allocated to actual wrestlers, to actual plot lines that we would really want to see build up. How many times do we really need to see Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair come out and do the same thing over and over again. Come on, you guys. This is the WWE. We have so much talent that we're not using, and it is actually a shame. And before you know it, they're going to say, oh yeah, this wrestler doesn't draw money. We're going to cut him. But have you really tried to put him in a position where they can be competitive at least? No. Even somebody like LA Knight, who has really gotten to the main roster and the upper tier of the main event scene, he still hasn't gotten that push yet. And I'm really thinking to myself, why? What are you waiting for? And the reality is, they're waiting for something to completely crack down and break before they try and, fix it. They want to go and smooth sail as much as they can, and they are all in autopilot. Reason number 90, there is a lack of competition within the WWE, okay? Within NXT, within Raw, within SmackDown. I mean, these guys are just all like almost on the same show, okay? Back in the day when NXT used to be ran by Triple H, that actually felt like a third brand. Raw and SmackDown were actually split. The Raw titles and the SmackDown titles, before they got unified by Roman Reigns, it actually was separate, But nowadays, that actual line in between those two brands is seemingly not there anymore. Wrestlers wrestle one another. The Vision is a Raw brand, but they're on SmackDown. Sami Zayn was a Raw guy, but all of a sudden he's on SmackDown. Jacob Fatu, he debuts on Raw, ends up on SmackDown. It's the same thing over and over again, okay? We need at least a draft to clearly distinguish all the wrestlers from different brands, to stick to their brands, and then we can go from there. But I think they don't do that because they also understand the fact that because of their talent pool is so shallow, they don't want to risk going overboard and maybe falling short, okay? They want to leave their hands open unless, something bad happens. Oh yeah, we can pull somebody from Raw and maybe save the day. I'm sick and tired of it, okay? Really, genuinely. Reason number 91, the stop and start pushes. The biggest one that I can recall right now is Jade Cargill. She comes from AEW. She was a big deal. She beats up everybody. And then in her crowning moment at SummerSlam against Tiffany Stratton, she loses clean. Like, why did you push her that hard just for her to get abruptly finished? It doesn't make any sense to me. Then on a side note, you have most wrestlers not getting pushed at all. So when you do finally have somebody like Jade Cargill that gets pushed, you would love for them to go over. But no, if she can't win, what hope do other wrestlers have who don't get pushed at all? Everybody has their own little rank or their level that they want to stick to. And the WWE seems to be really happy with the way everybody is right now. Reason number 92. The copy-paste characters. Everybody just seemingly says the same stuff, okay? If it's two baby faces, it's all about I respect you, I love you, we go way back. If it's a heel, I'm the best, you suck, I want to beat you up. Or, if it's a wrestler that is going nowhere, let's throw them a mask and they can become El Grande Americano. And, you can go out there and make it work yourself because, we're going to give you a bone. You better start chewing on it. That really is what the WWE feels like today. I can't really recall any character that is unique and new. Even somebody like LA Knight, who, is obviously over, his entire gimmick is pretty weird as well. I mean, what? You're like a Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin hybrid? Come on, it's time for something new. And something new seems to be pretty rare in today's wrestling world. Reason number 93. There is just too much corporate speak, okay? I understand the use of the word WWE Universe, WWE Superstar, but, ever since Vince is gone, they've been a little bit more loose with it. They're talking about, I'm a wrestler now, WWE wrestler, but to me, it feels like there is just too much kayfabe going on when it comes down to the shows. I don't feel like the panels when you go into the preview shows are actually honest, or the post shows or the reviews. It don't really feel like they are actually honest. If a show sucks, they want to talk about some kayfabe stuff. Look, there's a time and place for everything, and I understand that some people that their job is to stay in kayfabe and make the business look good. But sometimes I want somebody to tell Triple H or whoever is booking, look, this was just a stinker. How do we fix it? How do we move forward? Okay. When I saw The Rock sit down and talk to press after Elimination Chamber, that felt good, but it just doesn't seem to happen too frequently anymore. Reason number 94, forced baby faces, okay? I can understand somebody like Cody Rhodes being a forced babyface because he actually works as a babyface. But somebody like Tiffany Stratton, to me, doesn't seem like they need to be a babyface. Alright? She's very unlikable when she tries, and I think she's more unlikable than people like her anyway. Usually she's always had like somebody that was more dislikable than her, so she kind of got by. But I think right now there are a lot of wrestlers that could benefit from being actual heels, okay? We don't need everybody to be a babyface. And we also don't need all the heels to be cowards, okay? I mean, I don't really understand why that really happens in WWE. You know, if you have a strong babyface, suddenly they turn heel and they're weak. Doesn't make any sense. Reason number 95. Heel or babyface turns are just too frequent, okay? Look at the one with John Cena. A day out of his match at SummerSlam, the guy just simply turns back babyface. I mean, if he does it, everybody does it as well, okay? And I want to get to a point where some wrestlers should by default sway one way or another, okay? They should really try to be both as much as they want to be, okay? When somebody like Randy Orton comes out, you look at him and you think to yourself, this guy is a bad guy, okay? This guy is simply a heel. There's nothing that this guy can do that can, you know, come across like an angel. So why are we trying to make him look like the, you know, this nice veteran angel for Cody Rhodes that will hug him and kiss him and say, oh my God, you're so great? No, we need this guy to head kick, punt, whatever he wants to do to all of his opposition and get back to the top. That is just one example. Or how about Drew McIntyre? He was a babyface and then suddenly he turns heel and now he's like always moaning and like bitching about something, okay? Wow, like why? Why turn him heel if this was the case? If this was really what you were going to do with him, why turn him heel? Reason number 96, the bloodline. Look, they had a great history. They brought forth many great storylines. But today, they are still trying to linger on to the bloodline. We all know it is like completely like, you know, disbanded and it's not really what it used to be anymore. I mean, there's not even a faction called the bloodline anymore, to be honest. But they still try to have Roman Reigns be the tribal chief. They always want to have Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso be together in accordance with the tribal chief. I mean, I don't really know what the common goal here is anymore, okay? Do you want them to be there or not? It's as simple as that. If you want to have them there, let them be a unit, and if they can't get along, let them fight. But let's just stop this whole thing where, you know, Jay is there, Jimmy is there, Roman is there, but they're not really together, okay? Let them all have their individual stories if that's the case, okay? And I'm not really saying that no matter what happens, Jay, Jimmy, and Roman can't be in each other's vicinity. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, if you want to do something, do it properly. Reason number 97. Look, this ties into what I said with the bloodline. It doesn't end, okay? Nothing comes to an end. And nothing really has a climax. Nothing really has a proper beginning, middle, and an end, okay? Everything has to at least fizzle away or we have to forget about it, okay? How many times, how many plot lines have we had in this year alone where we are thinking to ourselves, oh my, yeah, you know, what really happened with this? You know, why did John Cena and Randy Orton not really have another rematch? I mean, why did CM Punk and John Cena just let that be, okay? It doesn't make any sense, okay? Rarely will there be an actual payoff that we can say, oh my God, you know, this was the nail in the coffin. I can go to bed and sleep with both eyes closed. It doesn't seem to be that the WWE does any of that anymore. Reason number 98, the continuous catering to sponsors, dude. You watch a match. Like I said, the ladder is sponsored. The ring mat is sponsored. There is a prime cart next to the announce tables. Sometimes you go backstage and the sole purpose sometimes in those promo packages or like promo segments is literally just to have a certain commercial be popping up. Or sometimes they will have these like hidden promotions when, for example, Jelly Bean might sit front row. You know, it'll look like they're actually there just to watch, but no. The commentary team will quickly note out that their newest album is out and you can go and stream it on Spotify today. It's just a sneaky way to have advertisement, or like when they have mascots in the crowd somewhere. It is all a very sneaky way to have sponsorships. Reason number 99. Global expansion over quality. They will always talk about, you know, the WWE is making the most money it's ever made. They're bigger than ever before. The WWE is in a new era. The WWE is doing great work. The WWE has gotten to a point where it is so profitable. It is so like, you know, massive. It's global now. Yet to me, it feels like, at least in North America, they don't really have the same juice that they used to have. They don't really have storylines that cross into the mainstream anymore. They don't really have anything that we can, point to and say, wow, that is must-see TV. And I really understand that, when it comes down to the numbers, yeah, their YouTube numbers are going up. They have the most subscribers out of any sporting promotion. I don't really have a problem with them saying that, or I don't really even have a problem with them, joining Netflix globally and ESPN when it comes down to America. But it is almost like the more they succeed, the less risks they take and the safer they become. It is almost like a really big double-edged sword. And reason number 100, to top it all off, the WWE has lost its identity. It has lost its soul. Can you name me the last time there was a bloody match, there was a Hell in a Cell, there was a spot that really defied the odds, that had everybody gasping for air? When is the last time somebody jumped off the Hell in a Cell? When is the last time somebody jumped off of the Money in the Bank ladder when they're hanging? When is the last time somebody dove off the stage? When is the last time something actually felt real and nasty? When is the last time we had some crazy backstage brawls happen? To me, today, everything is too polished, too clean. And with the sponsorships, with the product placements, with Vince McMahon being gone, to me, right now, the WWE under Triple H specifically doesn't seem to be going in the direction that we as wrestling fans knew it could go. We could have gotten the final boss versus Cody Rhodes, but instead today we have nothing more than disappointments, storylines that just came abruptly to an end, product placement just taken over, and right now I am sick and tired of all of the content that the WWE produces. I would love for you guys to tell me what you guys think, what makes you hate the WWE right now. I'm the Heels Advocate, and I'm out.